Alright, so in this lesson we're talking about factors and multiples. We're just going to go over a few definitions first. A multiple, what is a multiple? A multiple is a number that can be divided by another number without a remainder. So example, a multiple of 5, example could be 20. You know, because 5 can go into 20 4 times. So that's kind of what your definition of a multiple is. In some of the homework assignment, you'll say list the first 5 multiples of 5. Well, you can just multiply up. So 5, 10, 15, 20, 25. You know, so you can list each multiple. This will be multiplied by 1, by 2, by 3, by 4, by 5. That would be listed in order. All right, so those are how you understand and identify multiples. All right, now the next definition, a factor. What is a factor of a number? A factor is numbers that multiply together to get a number. So example, blank and blank are factors of 20. Well, there's a few of them, but what are two numbers that multiply to equal 20? You could use 1 and 20. You could use 2 and 10. You can use 4 and 5, because that would work as well. So there's a lot of factors that can go into the number 20 evenly. If you are required or asked to list the factors of a number, I use this outside-in method, we call it. So we're going to list all the factors. And I'm going to utilize a calculator for this too, and you should too, to help you out. The first two factors of a number are always 1 and itself. So if I'm going to list the factors of 40, I always list 1 and 40. All right, and now I need to find numbers that can go in to 40 evenly because they multiply to equal 40. Any even number, we know 2 is going to be a factor. So what I would do is do 40 divided by 2, and that gives me 2 and 20. So my next would be 2, and over here I'll put 20. And you'll see when I set it up this way, then they'll be in numerical order. So now I'll try the next number, 40 divided by 3. That does not go into it evenly. 40 divided by 4, that would be the next number I'm checking. So I have 4 and 10. So 4 and 10 would be another factor. All right, so now I'm going to try the next number, which would be 5. 40 divided by 5, that equals 8. So that works because they go in evenly. 5 and 8. Then the next number I'll check would be 6 because that's after 5. So 40 divided by 6, 6.6667. So, and then the next number would be 7, and then we're back up to 8. So 40 divided by 7 does not work either. Anytime I call it your divisor, so like when this 7 and that number is bigger, then you know you're done. So our factors of 40 are 1, 2, 4, 5, 8, 10, 20, and 40. So quite a few. So if we're going to, again, list the factors of 20, and go ahead and pause this and try it if you haven't done your notes. But I'm always going to start with 1 and the number. So I am going to start with 1, and we'll put 20 way over here. Don't worry if they're spaced way out at the end of the problem. I just like it this way because it's neat and it's in numerical order. All right, so if I'm going to look for 20, I know 2 will work. You might be able to do this in your head, but 2 and 10 would be another factor of 20. So I'll list 2. I'll put 10 over here, and I'll separate those with a comma. So 20, the next number I'd check would be 3. Nope, that's not going to work because it's not an even number. So 20 divided by 4, we know that's 5. So 4 and 5. And obviously 5 would be my next number, so I've listed all my factors of 20. So on the homework or anything I say work outside in, it means give yourself some space so you can list all those factors. And use your calculator to help you out on that. All right, the next portion of the notes that we're going to talk about are prime numbers. So what is a prime number? A prime number is a number that is divisible only by 1 and itself. All right, meaning that you cannot, so meaning that only 1 and that number are divisible by it. So examples of prime numbers are 2, 3, 5, 7, because there's no 2 numbers that can multiply. There's not more than 2 numbers that can multiply to equal 2. It's just 1 and 2. For 3, just 1 and 3. Whereas a number like 4, you can have 4 times 1 and 2 times 2. All right. So we need to be able to identify prime numbers because they're the simplest form of a number without it being multiplied by another number. Down here is going to be a big focus, and we're going to use this skill later on in algebra as well. It helps with simplifying things, and that's called prime factorization. So again, factors are numbers that multiply to equal a number, and in this case, a prime factorization are prime numbers that equal a number. Now you may have seen this before. We do what's called a factor tree. So I'm going to write out the prime factorization of each of these three numbers. So what I do is I try to find numbers that multiply to equal this number. Now, when I'm using an even number for sure, I know that 2, which is my only even prime number, can go into an even number. So what I like to do is always start with 2 until I get an odd number that I'm dealing with. So in this case, I'll do 22 divided by 2, and that gives me 11. So 2 times 11 equals 22. Now in this case, 11 is a prime number, and so is 2. So my prime factorization of 22 is 2 times 11. Those are the prime numbers that multiply to equal that number. All right, so now I'm going to try 44. So if I break down 44, and again, 44 is an even number, so the first thing I'm going to start with is 2. So 44 divided by 2, I know that works, that gives me 22. So 2 and 22. All right, so now 2 I know is prime, so I can break down 22 again. Now if I'm using my calculator, I already have that in there and I know it's an even number. I'm just going to divide that by 2 again, and I get 11. So 2 and 11. Now in this case, here's my prime numbers, 2, 2, and 11, so I can write that out as 2 times 11. Sometimes you may see it written as 2 squared times 11, but either of these is fine. All right, go ahead and pause this and try 80. All right, so for 80, again, I see that it's an even number, so I'm going to start with 80. I'm going to divide it by, I'm going to start with 2, because I know 2 is a nice even prime number. It's the only even prime number. So 2 and 40. All right, now I have to break down 40, because I don't think that's prime. It's already here. It's even, so I'm going to divide it by 2. 20, so 2 and 20. Now I can break down 20, because that is also even, so I'm just going to divide by 2. So I have 2 and 10. All right, now I have 10, also an even number, so I can divide that by 2 again, and I have 2 and 5. So my prime numbers here, 1, 2, 3, 4, I have 4 2s and a 5. So remember, we're only looking at the prime numbers. All right, sometimes people circle them to make it clearer. This 40, 20, 10, those are not prime numbers, but so you're not going to write those down. So my prime factorization of 80 would be 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 times 5. So that's how we want you to write them out. All right, so I'm going to give you one example. I'm going to show you one example of if we were to have a non-prime or a non-even number. So let's say we did 55. We're going to list that. No, that's not 55. Let's do 21. So I'm going to list the prime factorization of 21. Now I know it's an odd number, so it's not going, 2 is not going to go into it, because if I do 21 divided by 2, well, it's 10.5. So I'm going to try the next number up from 2. So I'm going to try 3. So 3 would be 3 and 7. 3 is a prime number, and 7 is also a prime number, so we can't break that down. So my prime factorization of 21 would be 3 times 7. So when you're doing these prime factorizations, once you get to the odd numbers, start with the lowest. When you're doing odd numbers, start with the lowest odd number to try to go in there. So that would be 3, then it would be 5, then it would be 7, to see if it divides into that bigger number. That will make sure that you don't skip any and that you're going in order.